The following is a Spirit Street production.
All right. It is Friday today on the Big 12 Insiders. It is Ask Big B Day. Just bring the questions, whatever you got. We're going to be answering a lot of questions, talking about pretty much anything that's going on in the Big 12 conference right now. It's about to be the dog days of summer. We appreciate everybody being here. This is the Big 12 Insiders.
Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show, presented by Synergy Financial Partners. Now let's go to booming North Texas, home of Studio 73. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Big 12 Insiders. This is Big B, Brien Hanley. What is going on? Hey, that's not Cole Carmody.
Someone has been using my computer.
This is Tim Fitzgerald. You know, Fitz, first off, I want to backtrack from and talk a little bit about yesterday real quick. I thought there was a lot of good information that we got about Utah. You know, we haven't had Utah on very much on the show. And so I appreciate the time that we were given. But yeah, I think we got a lot of good information. And I like the fact that it wasn't that Utah, the reason that a little bit of the, I guess, pushback is because Utah was just kind of settling into the Pac-12. They weren't really looking to go anywhere, and they were forced to go somewhere. And for them, it's like, well, we didn't want to be in the Big 12. It's not that we don't want to be there. We didn't want to be there. We weren't looking to go there. We were fine right where we are, but we were forced to go. And I think that's some of the aberration from some of the Utah fans.
Yeah, it's almost like you've got the perfect house. It's set up exactly how you want it. You got your pool. The kids love it. And then the tornado comes along and lose that house, and you end up living across town where you don't like it as much.
Yes.
But you might get used to it and enjoy it. So we'll see how it plays out. But Michelle was terrific.
Yes.
And it's good to have a Utah partner that is on board with doing the show. And we will have her on quite often because I think the Utes are going to be pretty good. The question is how good, how will they fit in? And she'll be there to discuss all that through the season.
Yes, absolutely. So appreciate her giving us the time yesterday that she did. But let's talk a little bit about the Big 12 Media Days. It is going to be in Las Vegas. I am proud to announce that I have got my flights booked. I will be there. Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't want to go. Vegas, not a good time. I didn't want to go. You know, my wife had to twist my arm, and I was like, okay, fine. I'll go to Vegas without you. You know, I'll go there, and we'll see what happens. So I'm actually excited about doing this. First of all, just for everybody that knows, this will be my first time actually covering a Big 12 Media Day. I'm excited where the channel is going, and we'll be there. We'll be doing some shows, but kind of give some people a little breakdown, Fitz, that may not know exactly what goes on in these media day type settings.
In reality, they're kind of boring. Every head coach takes the podium, talks for a little while, and they bring along 3-4 players each. Maybe they'll lower that with the new conference, how many there are members in it. And they all have like stops they have to make. They do an ESPN stop. They do a Fox stop. They'll do some national radio stops. They have photos that they got to take, and a bunch of stuff they do for the Big 12, in addition to meeting with local media. And so there's kind of narrow windows where you can nab people and have them on a show or interview them. We'll be working on that. We don't know exactly what we're going to do, but we know we're going to do it. And we'll figure that out. But what's interesting now is when the Big 12 was founded, and for many years, this was a 3-day event. I mean, you had 12 schools and you had 4 a day, and it was honestly, it was not that much work. It wasn't that challenging. And then it became a 2-day affair. And having it a 2-day affair with 16 schools is a bit overwhelming if you're trying to legitimately cover the entire conference. You know, you can just do the math in your head.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of coaches, a lot of players, a lot of things, a lot of moving parts. And the reason it's in Vegas is there were some scheduling conflicts with Arlington, with Jerry's big dome stadium right there. The SEC is going there this year, which is interesting. And of course, Jerry Jones is an Arkansas grad, so he's an SEC guy. So they went to Vegas. I just find it interesting they're having this event on a field that the Big 12 won't play on at any point this season, as far as I know, at Allegiant Stadium. I thought they might just do it in hotel ballrooms because they're rather big there. And but nope, they opted for the football field environment. And the media hotel, I'm sorry, we're going to have to stay at the Bellagio. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. Drop in the comments anything you'd like to see us do. Now, everyone goes out there and does the pretty typical coach interview, player interview. And honestly, I kind of find it boring. They don't say much. And that's really the highlight of this event is they don't say much. They don't want to fire anyone up. Now, Neil Brown called out the voters last year for picking them last. So you get things like that. But overall, it's a lot of coach speak. And we just do what we can do. But we're going to try to make it fun and do some live shows from out there. Cole Carmody, who was just listed as my name, will be out there to help you and us at the K-State site. And Ryan Gilbert will be with me also in Vegas. So we'll have a whole crew out there, and we'll connect with a lot of those publishers and have some of them on. We're just going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. The thing is, I've met through the internet a lot of people and, from coming on the show, but, to be able to sit down, maybe have a beer, go to a breakfast at a buffet, and just to get to hang out, to get to know people will be a lot of fun for me just to kind of interact and be in that atmosphere. And again, get to know some of these coaches. I know they're not going to say a whole lot. They're not going to do a whole lot, but at least just to get a feel for what they feel about their team, and I think maybe you'll get a little bit of that, how they feel about their team versus, giving away strategies and who's good and who's not. But a lot of times the coaches, just by their body language alone, maybe not even what they say, but their body language, they'll let you know what, we got something here. We got a good team. Or it could be the opposite. Like, man, well, we're going to do everything we can to be competitive, but I'm just not sure that it's going to work out. So I'm interested to see that as far as what goes on and how those coaches are going to interact this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, what about any thoughts? Because I know a lot of people have asked this question. Thoughts on the game, the actual Big 12 title game, moving to Las Vegas full time. I don't know that would be a thing. I know they've talked about it, or it's been, I shouldn't say they've talked about it. It's been thrown out there as a rumor.
Right.
Any chance that happens, Fitz?
I think so. I think we might see the event move around a little bit. Maybe Florida gets involved, depending on what goes on in the ACC. Maybe Charlotte gets involved. It's a wide range of places you can go. And while Nevada isn't in the Big 12 signature, those schools, particularly BYU, have close connections to that. The greatest irony is the people that don't party love Vegas. I think it could happen. And I don't think Jerry Jones helped himself much by, saying, hey, we don't have time for you this year. We're going to do the SEC. And, maybe he's just more interested in getting the SEC game every 4 years or whatever it is, as opposed to having it consistently in Arlington. I wouldn't mind it at all. I'm committed to the basketball tournament, as the Big 12 is apparently, being in Kansas City because it's so well received. I do hope the Big 12 picks up the Las Vegas Bowl. That was a Pac-12 bowl. So that's, in the lineup for bowls now with the expanded conference. And I would hope we start hearing about bowl changes here pretty soon.
Yeah, I would think so because, I mean, it's got to happen sooner or later.
Right. There's a lot of Pac-12 slots that are now just empty.
Correct. And I know, look, a lot of people, they say that bowl games are irrelevant. That everything that has gone on, they've made them irrelevant. Look, as somebody that participated in 2 bowl games and neither one of them were for national championships, I can assure you that they are not irrelevant. Look, I'm not saying that everything is on the line and it means something. All I'm saying is if you haven't participated in a bowl, I usually don't hear people that have actually gone and either rooted for a team or actually participated in the bowl game. You don't hear those people saying that it's irrelevant. You're not hearing that. So that's the thing, is that bowl games are not irrelevant. I get it. no, you can't win the national championship. But you know what? 50 years ago, if you weren't playing in the Orange or the Sugar Bowl or whatever, or the Rose Bowl, whatever it was, you weren't winning the national championship that day either. But now you're saying the Bowls, it meant something then, but now it doesn't? No, that's just our mindset. I think we got to somehow, Fitz, get out of that mindset that Bowls are irrelevant unless it's for the national championship. That's just not the case.
Well, TV ratings would show otherwise. I mean, they generally pull pretty good numbers. And of course, the number of bowls has ballooned now that ESPN discovered, hey, we can just call, this game a bowl and have more product to put on the air. So that's watered down a little bit, but your point is terrific, particularly for those programs that have been trying to climb. They've been trying to get turned around. And to finally make a bowl game, no matter where it's at, is significant. And it's significant for the fans, the program, and it's notable for that reason. So I'm a fan of bowls. I just wish they weren't named after companies. It kind of destroys the argument that we're historic and need to be around when it's some company name that changes every 3 years. But I noticed our first comment, it is Ask Big B Day, so make sure you're dropping some questions in here.
Yes.
Our first comment from David was he doesn't like Vegas, and I get that. It's a lot. I mean, it's a little bit over the top. It's an assault on the senses. You're just constantly, if you're staying in a casino property, you just got all that casino noise all the time, traffic noise, the street people trying to hand you stuff, and kids collect those cards. They're really good. And it's a lot. But for me, as someone who's gone to Vegas quite a bit, it's whatever you want it to be. We've done sightseeing stuff and gone to the Dam and Utah parks. We've done downtown strip, gone to shows, gone to casinos. Every trip's a little bit different. Right. And this will be a main work trip, staying at my favorite hotel property. So it's worked out pretty good for me. I'm glad the Big 12 conference is looking out for me, Tim Fitzgerald.
Well, here's the thing, Fitz. When I booked my trip, I have decided that I would be the designated Big 12 insiders. I would go and be the sacrificial lamb and try to do all the things for everybody, all the listeners out there. And I would be the sacrificial lamb, take in the sights, walk on the strip. I will do all those things for you people out there because, hey, that's what Big B does. He's dedicated to trying to help out here. So
I just want to give out one piece of advice to the media members that maybe have never gone to Vegas or trying to do everything in a short trip. Remember to wipe the glitter off of your clothes before you come to the media days. Just make sure you don't have glitter on you.
Right. We got a super chat question here from our man Canelio. I'm guessing he's talking about Kansas State with last season's great O-line recruiting class. Can you see any of them starting much sooner than later?
It's hard for a true freshman offensive lineman to start.
Correct. I mean,
those are the 5-star guys that already look the part, are physically developed, are kind of ahead of the curve with their peers. And we've seen it happen at Texas because they get those elite guys. But for the most part, programs in what is now the Big 12, you're going to need at least a year of development to kind of grasp what you're supposed to do and get big enough to do it.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
So that's kind of where the conference is. It will be interesting if this question is about Kansas State. They do have some retooling to do on the offensive line, but they also have guys that are in line that have been doing exactly that, paying their dues, and now they're ready to take the field.
Yeah, it's tough for an offensive lineman. And again, I'm speaking from experience. I mean, it was tough for me to come from junior college. I mean, I needed to add strength. That was my main thing. It was like I just wasn't strong enough initially to play right away. I found that out in the spring very quickly. I'm like, this isn't going to work. I need to get stronger, and did, but it just takes some development there.
Well, let's be honest. You had to convert from being a basketball guy to a football guy and a lineman on top of that. So
that was the thing. At Coffeyville, I knew how to play, but I didn't have the strength. And then going from when I was in high school, I played no offensive line, none. So that was not what I did at all. And I wasn't, even if I would have went to college out of high school or college and played football out of high school, it was not going to be to play offensive line. So I had to learn how to do all of those things on top of getting strong and figuring it out. And it took a minute, you know.
Yep.
I was pretty good at junior college, don't get me wrong, but I tell everybody junior college taught me how to be a man, but it did not teach me to be the best football player that I could be. And that took a minute. So
Yep.
Let's see. What other questions do we have here?
I like this one. This is in my wheelhouse. Another K-State type question. Alan asks, if the Chiefs get a new covered stadium in Kansas and host the Big 12 championship there, if Jones is not interested. And it's a great point. I'm very supportive of the new stadium for the Chiefs. If you're not familiar with it, the Chiefs and Royals just had a ballot initiative on the Missouri side in their county, Jackson County, and it was turned down. It was going to be a new Royal Stadium downtown and a kind of refurbished Arrowhead in its existing spot, which is east of town. It's not downtown. It's out there a little bit. And that's kind of cool because it's kind of away from things. But now Kansas is proposing they'll pay for the stadium, and that's hard. That's a lot.
Yeah,
they'll pay for the stadium if the Chiefs want to move on to the Kansas side, and it will be a dome, which opens up exactly what you talk about. Big 12 championships. It opens up Final Fours, and Kansas City used to be the regular Final Four destination.
It sure was
in downtown Kansas City for a long time, and for a long time they had hosted the most Final Fours. But now that we're in the stadium era of Final Fours, that took Kansas City out of the mix. And so this would be a cool thing, bringing more college athletics to the Kansas City area, but on the Kansas side.
Correct.
If you're not familiar, predominantly it's the Missouri side that has most of the population, but the Kansas side's growing like crazy.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people ask about that very same question, Fitz, and they say, hey, is Kansas City big enough to even have a Super Bowl? Let's say they get a dome stadium. I'm like, look, New Orleans has Super Bowls repeatedly. Kansas City is infinitely bigger than what New Orleans is, has more hotels. It is a bigger city than New Orleans, and New Orleans pulls it off with no problem. So I wouldn't worry about infrastructure or anything like that. Kansas City is plenty big enough, not only to hold a Final Four, to hold a national championship game in college, but also a Super Bowl. Kansas City would be plenty big enough to be able to do that.
And if there's not enough room, folks can just stay at our house. It's an hour 45 away, about an hour and a half from where the proposed stadium would be. But yeah, just crash down here in the studio. It's fine.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, let's go ahead and just take a quick break here, Fitz. We'll take a word from our sponsor, Synergy Financial Partners, and then we will return back this. It is Big B, or Ask Big B Day on the Big 12 Insiders. We will be right back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
At Synergy Financial Partners, the vision is to build the world's largest consumer financial education and empowerment company. Synergy doesn't just offer you a financial plan. At Synergy, the goal is to help you find your best financial future. Learn more at synergyfinancial.com.
Welcome back to the show. Let's return to Studio 73.
All right, welcome back to Big 12 Insiders. Again, it's Brien Hanley here with Tim Fitzgerald. So, I'm looking for some questions here, looking for something to actually chit-chat about. And I didn't really find anything at the moment. Having said that, though, look, let's talk about this. Big 12 football. Let's just get into it.
Yep.
I know that we talked yesterday, and a lot of people are picking Utah to win, to compete and be right at the top of the conference. The reason that people are doing that, I know there's a lot of people that are upset about that because they're coming into the conference and they're brand new, but they're talking like they can't compete because. And I said, well, look at Utah. Look at how they play. They play like a lot of Big 12 teams play football. They play physical defense. They play physical offense. They're going to fit in just fine. Now, will there be an adjustment? I don't know, because as we talked to Michelle yesterday, Fitz, she talked about the adjustment that they had to make going into the Pac-12 from the Mountain West.
Right.
Or they're not leaving the Mountain West to come in to the Big 12. They left the Pac-12, where the Pac-12, these are Power 5 teams. I'm not saying they're all the best, but they're Power 5 football teams.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA, Arizona. I mean, there's good teams in that conference. So their adjustment period isn't going to be the same as like it was for Houston or UCF or Cincinnati. It's just not going to be the same, Fitz.
No, they're coming in equipped. They're coming in with one of the great coaches of college football. That's a huge plus.
Mm-hmm.
Having a veteran quarterback coming back is a huge plus. I expect them to be very good.
Right.
And honestly, they caught an easy schedule. When you shuffle the deck, they caught a pretty easy schedule. Sorry, I'm managing petting a dog right now. And I think they're going to be in the Big 12 championship. I really do. If they're not, that's a huge disappointment for Utah because they're used to playing in that type of game.
Right.
And but you brought up a great point. A lot of people are still kind of fooled by the olden days, which is not that long ago, when there was a perception the Big 12 didn't play defense because, in the most historic game, you had Patrick Mahomes playing for Texas Tech and Baker Mayfield for Oklahoma, and they scored 1 million points in a game.
Correct.
And that kind of made everyone think the Big 12 doesn't play defense. But one of the things I love about football is it always corrects itself.
Yes.
When it gets too wide open and too much passing, then other teams start doing different stuff. For example, you strip down your defense so you can run with those defenses or those offenses, cover everyone, and you're a little bit lighter on defense. And then a guy like Bill Snyder would start running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's really swung back around. Ollie Gordon's the best running back in the country at Oklahoma State. Tech has a good one. Iowa State's there's good ones all over this conference. I mean, Kansas State, KU's got an elite running back.
Yeah.
This has become a ground conference, and some people still think it's wide open. There's elements of that, but Utah plays a physical brand. I think they were an outlier in many ways in the Pac-12.
Yes.
And playing physical football is the signature now of this conference, and I think Utah fits in marvelously, but they're going to run into more teams that look and play like them than they did in the Pac-12.
Absolutely. Let's talk about another team that's getting a little buzz, and there's a lot of pushback. Look, KU.
Yeah.
I think KU has an opportunity. Again, another team that got a good schedule, and KU has a veteran football team coming back. The pushback when I mentioned that KU has to be looked upon as a team that can be in Arlington and play for the Big 12 championship, everybody's saying, well, they haven't done it before and they're just building and it takes time. And I'm like, hold on a second. What do you want in a team to build? You want them to be, number one, have good players. KU has that. Veteran quarterback. While he's been injured, he's still a veteran quarterback. That's very good. An experienced team that's older. What else are you looking for a team that's supposed to be in the conference championship game? I get that they haven't done it before, but there's no prerequisite that says, hey, because you haven't been there before and your team was lousy 3 years ago, you can't be good in 3 years and compete for a conference championship. I just don't believe that.
Yeah, I agree. There's been, some shuffling of the participants in the Big 12 championship. It used to be Oklahoma versus someone. And over the last number of years, Oklahoma didn't make it and other teams did. And I agree with you on KU. What are the elements of good football teams? Well, some veteran lines, and they're pretty good along there. A quarterback that can win at a high level. And this is the key for Kansas, Jalen Daniels staying healthy. When he's on the field, KU is extremely dangerous.
Yep.
I love watching him play. He's the exact kind of quarterback I like because if the play breaks down, he can still hurt you.
Yes.
And you got to also have a really good coach. And Lance Leipold is among the best in the country, along with many other Big 12 coaches. He's getting it done there. I think something that's going to hurt KU a little bit this season is literally not having a real home game. If you're not familiar, they've torn down most of their stadium, aiming for a 2025 opening of the new stadium. So they will be playing all of their conference home games in Missouri in Arrowhead Stadium. They'll play their non-conference couple games just down the road from them at Sporting, the MLS team, at Children Mercy Park in Kansas City, Kansas. So they don't have a home stadium. It's going to be awkward. Every game's kind of a road game for them, and I'll see how they respond to that. But I'm in on KU. I think K-State's damn lucky that game's in Manhattan this year. But, of course, if it was in Lawrence, you'd be playing in Arrowhead, which is probably less menacing than the home field crowd. We'll see. That's what's fun about this new conference. Let's be honest, Big B, we don't know jack.
No, we don't.
We don't. We're making educated guesses, but in reality, there's so many new moving pieces. We don't know what direction we're going to end up in.
Right.
And that's why I'm so excited to see this unfold. This
Absolutely.
Kind of, putting together of 8 former Big 12 schools, 6 of the original, and now over a 2-year period, 8 new schools. Boy, that's a major change to the landscape. And now we'll see who navigates it the best.
Yeah. There's one school out there that they're not going to be picked to be anywhere but near the bottom of the conference. And maybe that's fair, but I believe they're going to end up beating 1, maybe 2 teams that they're not supposed to beat is going to be the Houston Cougars. Oh, yeah. I think Willie Fritz, just from the discipline that he's going to give them and his style of football, is going to allow those guys to just lock in and zone in. Because number one, he's going to demand it. If you're going to be on the football team, he's going to demand your laser focus, attention to every single detail. I believe they're going to end up beating at least 1, maybe 2 teams that they're not supposed to beat this year, Fitz, just for that fact alone. I've said it many times, and I'll say it again. I think Houston is just a hidden gem down there with what they could do with recruiting. You get the right person in there that's wanting to do the job. Let's just be honest. Dana Holgorsen had checked out. He had. It's just the truth. But they got a guy in there that's fiery. And look, I met him long time ago, back in 1996, with my, God rest his soul, my junior college coach, Skip Foster, was my head coach at Coffeyville. We played them in a bowl game. And Michael Bishop was the quarterback at Blinn, and we played. And just the attention to detail, just by watching him on film, was incredible. And that was back then. I can't imagine what it is now. It's got to be even more now. So I think Houston, again, they may not win more than 2 games in the conference this year, but it'll be 2 games that they're not supposed to win. I think they're going to beat 1 team, Fitz, that they're not supposed to beat this year.
I'm looking for them to really make a breakthrough in 25 and 26.
Yep.
As his system settles in and everyone begins to understand what it takes to play for him. And honestly, he's going to have to weed out a roster that probably won't be accepting of the level of work you need to put in under him.
Correct.
There are some sleeping giants in this conference. UCF has a huge upside. BYU's kind of cycled down right now. A lot of people are picking them for the bottom of the conference. BYU is going to get good again. There's no doubt in my mind. In Houston, I think those 3 programs really could become something if they have the right people and the right athletic department and fan support. I think they can get there. I'm probably most confident in BYU and UCF because they've got the fan following. Willie Fritz has got to build that program from the ground up. They don't have much of a local fan base, and it's a huge city. And if they develop that, oh my gosh, it's going to be a pit down there.
Look out. Let's just, before we take our final break here, let's uncover, I guess, the big elephant in the room. Do we think Colorado is going to be anything this year? Do we believe that the way that Coach Prime, what he is doing, the way that he is going about his business, do we think that number one is going to be successful, and is it sustainable? I'll answer the second question first. It's definitely not sustainable. He's going to have to change. You got to bring in high school kids. You can't just live in the transfer portal. That's not going to work. Having said that, do we think that they can be successful? And better yet, what are we defining as success? Because, and I'll go first, for me, I don't think just going 6-6 is success. Not for the way that they've tried to brand this program. I think they got to win at least 7 to 8 games. I think 7's the minimum. 7-5 from what they were 2 years ago, because they were a laughing stock. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah.
They were an absolute laughing stock. And last year, they were still bad, but at least they were respectable. They got blown out in a few games, but they were close in the majority of their games. I think they got to get to 7 wins. If they don't get to 7 wins, what are we talking about here? What are we doing? That's my personal opinion.
I think there's some element of success at 6-6, just because what we talked about at the top of the show, getting to a bowl game,
Correct.
beginning to experience that. But I agree with you. It always feels more tangible when you're above 500.
Correct.
Because you go to a bowl at 6-6, you might end up with a losing record to end your
right.
season, and that stinks. When you set up the question about, or the topic with Houston, I thought you were going to Colorado. I think they're going to beat some people, because there will be no doubting their physical talent at skill positions.
Correct.
If they turn it into a wide open game, they can win that. But anytime you're putting together a roster with a lot of transfer portals, and probably more so in football, but we see it in basketball too, it's kind of a spin of the roulette wheel as we keep the Vegas theme here. You really don't know where it's going to end up. And sometimes you hit the winning combination and everything falls in place, and you're a really good football team. That happens. Coach Prime will be known as a miracle man. He really will, as he retires after this season. I don't know. I'll be interested to see what his future is. But if they hit it out, I'm going to say a home run is 9 wins. But even if they go 8-4, they get 9 or better. Man, what a coaching job. And they went out and found the right guys. It's going to be a fun storyline.
It will be. It will be. So we're going to take one quick break here before we end the show. Again, one word from our partners and our sponsors, Synergy Financial Partners, and we will be right back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
At Synergy Financial Partners, the mission is to change the way Americans plan for their financial future. Synergy doesn't just offer you a financial plan. At Synergy, the goal is to help you find your best financial future. Learn more at synergyfinancial.com.
Welcome back to the show. Let's return to Studio 73.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Big 12 Insider. So today was a fun day. Ask Big B Day. I like doing these on Friday, just kind of open it up to everybody. So I appreciate everybody being here. Fitz, I like where this conference is heading. I like it not only in football, in basketball. I just like the overall strength of the Big 12 right now. We've talked many times, and we'll continue to talk about the ACC possibly ending. I think that the pressure is really starting to mount, as we saw earlier this week. North Carolina just basically saying, hey, we want out of here. I mean, that's what it's come to. Their boosters and board of trustees, they're just ready to be done with the ACC. They're fed up. And not only are they fed up with it, because they're looking to get to find out what's going on with their athletic director. And when they start looking into the athletic director, they're like, hey, what's going on? Why aren't we making the kind of money? What's going on with this money here? And anytime you start dealing with money, heads are going to roll. And if heads are going to roll, they're going to start looking for places to get other money. I think the ACC's days are numbered. I know we talked about a June 30th date. Maybe it'll be sooner. Maybe it'll be later. I'm not sure.
I'll just say this straightforward. If you're in the Big 10 or SEC, but the Big 12 and ACC to a lesser extent, with the type of money you're getting from media rights, if you're not in the black as an athletic entity, as a business, you suck at your job.
Absolutely.
One of my principles of many businesses and life itself is your budget tends to be your income plus 10%. We always just kind of overspend. Some conference members have been really good about that. Others are digging a hole. Cal, for example, nobody wanted to touch them except for the ACC, because they have such a financial ruin to their athletic department, and they get tons of money from the state government, which is ridiculous. So I'm, this whole thing is going to get really nasty, as the ACC, if it comes apart. I have too many C's there. If they come apart, that'll be one stage here, but then there's going to be a push from the Big Ten and SEC just to exclude everyone else, and including the Big 12, and then the lawsuits will start, and it's going to get ugly for a while.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep a close eye on it, and as it comes, we'll bring you that information as we go.
Big B, I want to point out, it looks like people are outside enjoying the weather. Our viewers numbers are about half of what they usually are. It's beautiful in Kansas. I know that. And I just want to encourage people, if you're not subscribing to this channel, please do it. We got to get to 1,000 before we can start monetizing. I don't like to talk about we got to make money, but we're doing this as a business. This isn't a charity. We love it. We started it because we're genuinely interested in this, and we thought the Big 12 needed more of its own stuff, whether it's Drake at Locked On or the 365 guys who are marvelous, Heartland Sports with my friends over there. There's a Big 12 Mafia show. I think the Big 12 is going to need all of this to kind of create their own heat. And we're trying to do that. We're trying to get our viewership numbers up and get those subscriptions up. So please subscribe to this site and make sure you interact with the videos. If leaving comments and hitting the thumbs up are all you want to do.
Absolutely. And all the support is absolutely appreciated. And you've done a great job so far. Just continue to do so. The more important thing, I always tell somebody, if you're subscribed, tell a friend, tell them to do the exact same thing. So we appreciate it. We will see you guys next week on Tuesday. Remember, Big 12 Insiders is on Tuesday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central Time. We will see you guys next week. Thank you for showing up, and we will see you. Have a great weekend.
This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast.